Hello and welcome to Triumph Women Beating the Odds. My name is Okelo Sharon Nagenjoa, the girl from Oyam. And as usual, we tell the stories of women who are beating the odds, who are shattering glass ceilings, who are supporting and inspiring other women, and who are doing great for our great nation, Uganda, and all the countries that God bless all the women who are coming through for fellow women. And as such, we have a story of an amazing woman who has been so impactful to the women of Karamoja and Uganda as a whole, and that is none other than Ambassador Lulu. This is her story.
My name is Lulu Qingwana. I am the South African High Commissioner to the Republic of Uganda. I came here in November 2020.
Her Excellency Lulama Ingwana is a distinguished South African diplomat, politician, and the first female High Commissioner of South Africa to Uganda. Her career and exploits in Uganda, such as the Karamoja Greenbelt's women-led large-scale farming project, supported by the IPSA Fund, demonstrates her commitment to enhancing and advancing women's rights and social issues. Ambassador Lulu, it is a pleasure being here. I'm honored to have this interview with you.
Thank you.
You have done amazingly in Uganda. I've been to Karamoja and the women are just singing your name, praising Mama Lulu, and it's amazing. I just want to have the world know the story of such a great woman and how much you have been able to achieve. And now that you're saying goodbye to us, we just want to highlight all this greatness.
Thank you. My name is Lula Qingwana, commonly known as Lulu, Ambassador Lulu Qingwana. I come from South Africa. I was in South Africa. I was a member of parliament for 20 years. I started under President Nelson Mandela, and part of the 20 years I was a minister for 10 years, firstly appointed by President Thabo Mbeki at the Ministry for Minerals and Energy.
Yes.
I was a deputy minister for Minerals and Energy for 2 years, and then I was appointed as Minister for Agriculture and Land Affairs for 4 years by President Mbeki. And after that, I was appointed Minister for Arts and Culture during the 2010 World Cup, an exciting time in South Africa. And after that, I became the Minister for Women and Children. That's when I ended my political career in South Africa. From there, I joined the diplomatic corps. I was appointed as the South African High Commissioner to Ghana in 2014, and I spent about 6 years there. At the end of 2020, I came to Uganda, where I was appointed by President Cyril Ramaphosa as the Ambassador, South African High Commissioner to the Republic of Uganda. And I have enjoyed my stay in Uganda.
How was your first experience just coming into Uganda as an appointed ambassador?
I came during a difficult time when we had COVID, and we had the lockdown, and it was the time when airports were closed. There were no flights all over the world. So the airport in Ghana was locked, even in South Africa and here and all over the world. So finally, they opened the airports, and my government said, you go from Ghana to Uganda direct. Usually, as an ambassador, you have to go home and report and so on. But they said this time, we're going direct to Uganda because we don't know when they will close the airports again.
Yes.
When they close the airport, they lock you in Uganda.
Yes.
And you do your work there.
Yes.
So the first year or two were difficult because it was a time when we could not have meetings.
Yes.
And everybody was testing and people were getting sick and people were dying, which was a sad history of our era. However, I think our governments were able to overcome the pandemic. And in the end, I think 2021, they opened opportunities were there now for meetings, for projects to start, and for the work of government to go on. And also for businesses to really get active. One of the first programs we ran was to organize for our joint commission of cooperation, which we had in July 2022. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs came to Uganda with a huge delegation from different departments in South Africa to come and strengthen relationships and also sign some agreements with the government of Uganda, as well as look at business opportunities between South Africa and Uganda. And it was a very successful visit. Part of that included going to the Mandela National Stadium and unveiling the statue of Mandela there. And that was towards the end of her stay in Uganda. He then also had a meeting, a courtesy call with President Museveni. After that, my president invited President Museveni to South Africa, and he paid a state visit last year in February. I think he took a number of companies to South Africa, and was well received by our president in South Africa. There was also a business summit that was addressed by the two presidents in South Africa. I think over 100 companies from South Africa and Uganda participated in the business summit. I think we had also about 5 agreements that were signed by the two governments that were also overseen by our two presidents. So as a result of that, we came back and we had a similar summit here in Uganda in September last year at Munyonyo, where 4 ministers came from South Africa with a number of companies. I think 40 companies came from South Africa, and they met their counterparts, companies from Uganda. It was a very successful business summit. We were working closely with the government of Uganda, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Tourism, Agriculture, and as I said, 4 ministers also came from South Africa. And President Museveni came to close the summit. I think he was very happy with the summit. And as I said, a number of projects have come out of this the summit, and I hope that the spin-offs and the projects that have been initiated will grow from strength to strength.
Wow. So aren't you amazed by the story of Ambassador Lulu? Like, many people are put in offices, but ask yourself, whenever you're put in that chair, what impact have you left behind, or have you just left without a file to hand over? Many people have empty files, but Ambassador Lulu's file is heavier than one can carry. We'll be back after this break. Most times when we're leaving office and we're handing over to another person, there's sometimes merry, but then there's sometimes joy. However, for today's story, it's a mixture of feelings because we're saying goodbye to a person who has impacted the women of Uganda wholesomely. And if you're just joining us, we're here with Ambassador Lulu of the High Commission of South Africa. And she's telling us her story from the moment she came to Uganda and now saying goodbye, the achievements that she's been able to leave behind. And we hope that the next person will be able to fit into those very large shoes. And I can assure you they are large. So, Ambassador, back to, it's interesting that we're saying bye, but then I'm worried. The women are crying. The women, they've been singing songs of praise to you. And in this tenure, Ambassador, just give us a bit of, now from the COVID moment to carrying on now the projects with full speed instead of just a Kalimba. Where is that energy from, Mama?
Well, the women, let me start with the women. I have worked with women for many years. Even before I was in government, I worked with NGOs, women's organizations. We fought against gender-based violence. We fought to ensure economic empowerment of women. You know, in our countries, your country, my country, when you want to start a business and you are a woman, you are told you must get permission from the husband. You are also told you don't qualify because you don't have A, B, C, and you don't have the necessary guarantees. And we said these things must be loosened up, and women must be given an opportunity because women work hard. And women may not have assets that a bank or a funder is looking for, but we need to affirm women. We need to do affirmative action. It's like how we were elected to go to parliament. You know, in those days, I don't know today, we had to compete with men. And if a man is known in the village, who is going to vote for a woman? And we fought with our leaders. We said to President Mandela, we need women in there. Because women fought in the struggle. Women were in jail. Winnie Mandela was in the jail. Many women were in exile. Some ran here. They were here in Uganda. Tenjiwe Mtinso was our representative here in Uganda. So we said, no, we're not going back to the kitchen. We have been there in the trenches, fighting for freedom. We have been there in jail, side by side with the men. Why should we now go back to the kitchen? We are going to run this country together. So we had affirmative action to ensure that women are also included in those that are going to parliament. We said to President Mandela, in your cabinet, we want to see women in those ministries. And I'm sure the women of Uganda have also organized. I see you have a prime minister, you have a vice president. It does not come easy. It is women's mobilization through a strong women's movement where you are able to lead the women and ensure that we are not forgotten and left out back in the kitchen. And what is important is when you are appointed as a woman, you have to achieve. You must not forget those that have supported you. You must not forget the women that are out there that are suffering, that are struggling. Pull them along and do what you can with the resources at your disposal. Do what you can to support those women and to pull them up. Because it's not about you alone. You cannot achieve all this alone. You have to work and pull up other women so that tomorrow the women are visible, the women empowered.
Yes. And just on that point, Ambassador, there has been in very many women conferences. Now, you are different from all the other women leaders that we have seen come over time. Why? Because the women that are appointed to powerful positions that become CEOs instead tend to fight other women in offices and just lean towards working with only men. How is it that for you have been able to maintain a balance and struggle for the woman of Uganda and across?
I think, as I said, I came from a young age. We were active in fighting the scourge of gender-based violence, in fighting for the economic empowerment of women, because we said if you empower a woman economically, you empower the family, you empower the children. Even the husband will eat because the woman has been empowered. So I came from the women's movement itself, and I don't think I would have been where I am. We were able to be supported by great women leaders who sacrificed a great deal. We had Mama Albertina Sisulu. We had a lady called Mama Mcenge, who was killed by the apartheid regime because she was a human rights lawyer who was fighting for the freedom fighters. We also had, even in the early 1900s, we had a woman called Manya Matake, who flew to the USA and studied BSc. She was the first black person in South Africa to have a BSc degree. She came back home, she built schools, she built churches. So we were inspired by all those women. We had, as I said, Winnie Mandela, who spent so much time in the jails and was banned and could not get out of her house. As young girls, we had to jump from the back gate so that we can meet with her in the kitchen. Whilst they are waiting in the front gate to see nobody comes to her house, we're able to do that. So from that experience, we were able to be inspired. And I'm also inspired by women like Mama Suluhu, the president of Tanzania. You know, she's doing so well. The economy of Tanzania is growing. And I think it's because of Mama's contribution and also mobilizing. You know, women, they mobilize, they work for the family, they work for the community most of the time. And I'm also very excited about the new president of Namibia, who is also a woman, who has just been elected last week. And we celebrate her as well. And I hope in the future we'll have more women president on the African continent.
So, Mama, as you're saying goodbye to us, do we expect you to at least continue working with us Ugandan women in whatever capacity?
Yeah, I will work with women. The women of South Africa are also waiting for me back home. And we have women farmers. We have women in business. There are lots of programs that I can participate in. Like I said, I want to invite the women of Uganda to come to South Africa. I think it used to happen during the times of fighting against apartheid, where the women of Uganda would meet with the women of South Africa and inspire us. And also right now we have a new enemy, which is poverty, unemployment, and inequality.
That's true.
Those are the programs that we should now prioritize and ensure that women and our young people are not left behind.
That's true.
So as women, we need to prioritize training and skilling and education for our young people so that they can have sustainable jobs tomorrow, and tomorrow ensure we have good leaders that are educated, that are well trained, that can run our beautiful countries and relieve us from poverty.
Wow, wow. They say that leadership is God-given, and without any doubt, we can all see that Ambassador Lulu's leadership is straight from God, because it's a leadership of empathy, it's a leadership that is impactful, it's a leadership that is filled with love. And if you're not inspired by this journey, then I do not know what inspires you, because I, for one, I'm inspired and I'm looking forward to being the great woman that I see Ambassador Lulu become today. So until next time, my name is Okelo Sharon Nagenjwa, and this is Triumph Women Beating the Odds. Don't forget to follow us on our socials at Triumph Women UG and at Girl from Wayam. Till next Saturday, cheers.